Hi, I'm Susan Winter for SusanWinter.net, and this is a discussion about emotional mastery, which is ultimately trusting yourself. Yes, we need to trust our partner. We need to trust that they are who they say they are, that they want what they say they want. But more importantly than that, the one person that needs to be trusted is that you trust yourself. The minute you begin to understand everything about how you function in a relationship, your go-to places, your defaults, your fears, what you're good at, where your weaknesses are. When you learn and master your own emotions, and when you know your own control panel, entering a relationship of any sort becomes easy. When you know yourself, the decisions that you make are effortless. The one person you need to trust more than anything is yourself. And you'll know when you're there because the advice given unsolicited by those around you who are trying to instruct you or protect you or guard you or warn you just sound like a bunch of yapping terriers. It is so inconsequential. I know because I've watched myself go from the girl in the back of the classroom in grade school. I was a W, okay, Winter. I was always at the far corner all the way back. And I would be afraid to raise my hand. And if I did have the courage to really ask a question, my voice was so quiet they couldn't hear me. And after 5 times asking me to speak up, I'd shut up. I'm the same girl in the same lifetime that has gone to the point that I don't even want anybody to try and tell me what I'm going to do because I know the decisions I'm going to make. And more importantly, I know that whatever decision I make or I choose not to make, I can handle what I get into because it's a matter of knowing yourself. All this work that we do with dating, it looks like it's about them. Why did he do this? Why does she do that? Those are just the ripples on the water. What's really happening underneath this, and I know you've heard me say this before, is that we're in a process of training ourselves. And the reason that I have gotten so much mileage out of relationships is that for me personally, the act of being in a relationship, a high potency, emotionally charged desire, attraction, that is the starting point of watching all of my different versions of emotional stuff come to the surface. And while it's always tempting to focus on them, what are they doing? How do I get what I want? The better question is to be able to look at yourself and watch where you go and to be able to amend, think about it, make corrections, and alter your own course. And that in the process of this thing that we call relationships, the person who's developing is you, and the mastery that you're gaining over yourself in being a partner, in being a better partner, in learning how to enter relationships, in learning how to exit relationships and retain your own confidence. These things are amazing because, so many people are terrified to be in a relationship. I had a guy write me, and I feel so badly when I see things like this, that he'd stayed out of relationships for 5 years because he's terrified of being hurt. Now, that is an unworkable situation. The fear of not knowing how to trust yourself, not the other people, trusting yourself to go through the process and be okay, has eliminated this man from even experiencing the exquisite knowledge of love, let alone his mastery of himself in a volatile situation. So any bit of business that you do in really looking at yourself in a relationship, any correction that you make, any realization, any aha moment, these things you keep forever. I find relationships to be the most fertile field of self-awareness. I mean, I could sit in a therapist's office and yak about it, or I could get in the field, roll up my sleeves, and see who I really am. Am I as confident as I think I am? What things terrify me? What situations are high drama? When am I challenged? And when I'm challenged, where do I go? What's my safety zone? And do I want that to be my safety zone? Is there a better choice I could make? These kinds of things ultimately leave you so empowered when you know who you are. And the need to run to your friends to ask them for their input becomes ridiculous. Nobody would know you better than yourself. And I think this is the ultimate liberation. And I think it is the goal of relationships. Underneath all this stuff that we're doing, the ultimate goal is that we can unify with ourselves and really know who we are. And that is freedom. And that is true empowerment. So, what I'm trying to say is that no matter what you've been going through, no matter what you're Googling for help, or the videos you're looking at on YouTube, or the articles you're reading, don't think that anything you're doing is pointless. If used properly, it is connecting you to the truth of who you are, and when you know every aspect of yourself, that is when this whole game changes. You have mastery of yourself. You trust yourself. And you may find yourself entering situations that would be terrifying for somebody else, but you have the comfort of knowing that you can do it. And no matter what the outcome, you can handle it. So that is the ultimate goal of what relationships give us, a real connection to ourselves. So if you ever have moments of wondering what it's all about, this is what I think it's ultimately all about: our freedom and our knowledge of ourselves. Thank you so much. Susan Winter for SusanWinter.net.